The unexamined life is not worth living. Education is not preparation for life. Education is life itself. Wisdom begins in wonder. True knowledge is to know the extent of one's ignorance. I cannot teach anybody anything. I can only make them think. The only true wisdom is in knowing you know nothing. The more I learn, the more I realize how much I don't know. There is only one good, knowledge, and one evil, ignorance. Learning is a treasure that follows its owner everywhere. To learn is to think. On virtue and morality, no man has the right to be an amateur in the matter of living. True courage is in facing danger when you would rather run. The only true victory is victory over oneself. Justice is giving everyone what they deserve. The unexamined life is not worth living. He who knows himself well will keep silent. For the secret of God is in him. Be silent, or let your words be better than the silence. Do not do to others what you do not want others to do to you. Silence is the true friend of that man who will not speak until he ought. Silence is a fence around wisdom, X and action and The only person who is educated is the one who has learned how to learn. And the secret of change is to focus all of your energy, not on fighting the old, but on building the new. It is better to do something imperfectly than to do nothing perfectly. The difficulty is not in making the decision to do right, but in knowing what the right thing to do. Life is very pleasant. Everything about it is wonderful. The only true wealth is the wealth of the soul. The greatest good for any man in this life is to live according to his own reason. The only person who is educated is the one who has learned how to learn and change. The difficulty is not in making the decision to do right, but in knowing what the right thing to do is. The way to get started is to quit talking and begin doing. Authors and society, be kind. For everyone you meet is fighting a battle you know nothing about. Marry or do not marry. Or if you marry, do not care about it. Friendship is unnecessary, like breathing. But without it, no one could survive a single day. The only way to have a friend is to be one. He who would learn to fly with eagles must not fear to leave the ground. My heart belongs to the whole world. No country bounds it. Silence is the true friend of that man who will not speak until he ought. The unexamined life is not worth living. Let silence take hold of your thoughts. When silence is in the heart, it will be in the word also. The chief task in life is simply identify and separate matters so that I can say clearly to myself which are externals not under my control, and which have to do with the choices I actually control. Where then do I look for good and evil? Not to uncontrollable externals, but within myself to the choices that are my own. In theory, the only good is knowledge, and the only evil is ignorance. The only true wisdom is in knowing you nothing. The unexamined life is not worth living. True knowledge is to know the extent of one's ignorance. Be silent, or let your words be better than the silence. The secret of happiness, you see, is not found in seeking more, but in developing the capacity to enjoy less. The better I get, the kinder I become. He who learns but does not think is lost. He who thinks but does not learn. Wisdom is not a product of schooling, but